So this is Ziz. Ziz is a 3D printed miniature mechanical magnet driven robot, and here he is in all his glory, whizzing around, living his best life. This is something I designed myself, and I'm going to show you how you can make one. I do intend to make some more of these, different ones, a family of them. So if you've got any ideas as to how I might be able to improve Ziz, or make some different designs, different brothers and sisters for him, let me know in the comments. I'll try my best to incorporate them. So it all starts, as with everything, with a Google search. I thought I'd do a bit of research, and robots, some of them have wheels, some of them have legs, some of them have these aerials on the top, a lot of them have these sort of clunky ball joints. He looks as if he's on his last legs. These clunky ball joints for elbows and knees. They're all pretty cute though, you got to say that about them. So I thought I'd do a bit of a sketch. I want mine to have wheels and these pincers for hands on the front. A lot of them seem to have those. And again with the clunky ball joints, bit of a satellite dish on the top, and that could possibly be rotating around. Big spanner on the back, because you never know when you're going to break down. Got to have a spanner on the back. So I've got these neodymium magnets here, and here's me pretending to be an engineer, trying to measure them with my £5.99 Chinese eBay calipers. So we've got just under 8mm square by, what's that, 1.87mm thick. Okay, let's head over to Tinkercad, and there's our block. I'm just going to add a bit of a chamfer to it because I do want him to be aerodynamic. That's better. And I'm just going to add this hole here for the neodymium magnet. So there's our basic chassis. Let's head over to our slicer software and save that and print it out. Bang that into the 3D printer. Press print. Boom. And here's our chassis. Let's glue the neodymium magnet into the base and take it for a spin. So I've got a bigger magnet here. Let's put that underneath the board. I'm quite pleased with that because the friction is dragging the back end around and keeping it at the rear, and I do want a distinct front and back, so that's pretty cool. It's looking like a little sort of buggy already, and that's before I put the wheel on the back, so yeah, that's pretty good. Let's update it a little bit. So here's the new chassis. I put a recess in the back for this wheel, and the back wheel is now a worm gear which will drive the upright bevel gear, which I'll show you in just a second. Let's turn this over. So there's the bevel gear cog thingy. Let's just change the colour of that so you can see it a bit better. But if I move the chassis out of the way, you should be able to see how they go together. So I've improved the chassis a bit. I put these legs on it because I'm going to put a lid on the whole thing to keep it all together. And here's the back wheel, and that's how it comes into contact with the bevel gear cog. And I've got this upright chassis here and an axle there that it sits on, and hopefully I should be able to turn rotary motion in the horizontal to rotary motion in the vertical, and that should work everything. So let's see how that goes. Let's print those out. So I've added a bit of an axle here, which is just a bit of an old toothpick, and let's put that in the chassis and see how it functions. I've used this slightly translucent 3D printed plastic so you can see what's going on. So the wheel goes in there, and as you can see, it spins around quite freely, which is what you want. So let's put our bevel gear cog in the top and see how that functions. So if that works okay, as we push it along, it should rotate around, and it does. It's a little bit clunky, but I'm going to put a little bit of lubrication on it, so I'm quite pleased with that. You drag it along and it rotates around. That's very nice. Job's a good one. I love it when a plan comes together. Who was it who said that? Right, so this is our updated version now. I've added this frame. This frame fits quite neatly onto the bevel gear, so that as the cog rotates around, the arms should move left and right, and the back end should go in and out, and they're going to have these accoutrements attached to them, the arms and the spanner on the back. And I've made this little plate here for the neodymium magnet, and that's going to attach to the underside of the chassis. So I've designed this lid here, which should glue onto the top of the chassis and keep everything in place. And then there's just this satellite dish which should fit on top of the bevel gear rotating cog and should spin around as he trundles forwards. So that's the plan. Let's print all the bits and bobs out, see how we get on with that. Okay, so there's our bits and bobs. I'm going to paint these up eventually. I've got these chrome paint pens, paint markers off eBay. They're pretty good for plastic. I've got a silver one as well and a copper one. So I'm just going to give these top surfaces a couple of coats of this gold paint, just so that you can see what's going on a bit better. Try not to get any on my fingers. So let's leave those to dry. And here they are, finished, and that does look quite shiny. I'm quite impressed with that. So here's the frame, and butterfingers. I've glued the arms and the spanner onto the back. They fit quite well. Measure twice, cut twice, that's what I always say. And I managed to get this lubrication pen, also from eBay. Anybody would think that all I ever do is buy stuff on eBay. So put a bit of oil round it. There was the magnet glued to the bottom. Bit of lubrication all round and about the place. Okay, so let's put our cog in place. That's nice. And let's put the frame on. So as you can see, as that rotates, it should move the frame around. Let's put the wheel in the bottom and we can just test it. So let's spin the wheel round, and as you can see, as the wheel spins round, so the frame moves about and the arms and the spanner move about, which is fantastic. That's exactly what we want. So let's put it all together. A bit of super glue for the tops of these legs here. And let's put the lid on. Nice. That's a nice fit. I love it when a plan comes together. Who said that? Okay, bit of super glue for the top. And let's bang the satellite dish on there. That should be a nice fit. And it is. So let's just test it. Okay, so I'll turn the back wheel. As you can see, everything kind of moves around as it should. Quite pleased with that. So let's paint it up and give it a bit of a test run. So I've got the big magnet again. I'm going to put that under the board. Magnet engaged. So it's kind of working, but it's kind of sliding around like he's on an ice rink. The back wheel isn't really gripping as well as I'd like. You could do with a bit more of a rubbery texture, I think. So I found this old roll of vinyl. I'm going to cut that down to A4. You can print onto this stuff. And I found this old sci-fi floor texture on the internet. And I'm going to print that out and trim it down. So here it is. So as you can see, he's moving about a lot better now, and always facing the front, which is exactly what we want. So I think he does need a bit of a bigger surface to move about on. So let's print some more of these mats out. Boom, there they are. Let's take a bigger board, glue this down with a bit of Elmer's glue. yeah, so if you want the files, you want to make one yourself, join the email list, and I'll send them out at some point. Just missed a bit there. And if you've got any ideas as to how he may be improved or updated, any other designs I could make based on the same principle, put a comment down below. Okay, so here's the boring bit. A few of these. That looks quite nice. Okay, so I printed out these sci-fi looking buildings from printables.com, and I just painted them up a bit with the silver and gold paint pens just to make him feel a bit more at home. And here he is in all his glory, living his best life, happy as Larry, rumbling about, satellite dish turning round, scouring the heavens, listening for signals from his robot buddies, and he just needs to do a bit of work on this computer. Yeah, that's great. So yeah, he's chuffed, I'm chuffed, hopefully you're chuffed. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and as I say, let me know how he can be improved, or I want to make some others. I want to make him some brothers and sisters with, different designs, different appearances. So yeah, let me know what you think. Here he is. Isn't he a handsome chap? Ziz is. Hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. Goodbye from me and goodbye from Ziz.